Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. And a lot of times people ask me, what do I think are the best shows that analyze the evidence and do so objectively, not subjectively, and also don't bring in a lot of fantastical stuff, but actually focus on the evidence and come up with a conclusion based on the evidence in spite of what they personally might think or what might influence them in many ways. Which ones are the most accurate in doing that? And I'm going to show you which one are my two favorite shows. And here it is. Here they are. Yep, that's it. My two favorite evidence-based shows are Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay. That was not what you were expecting, was it? But I'm going to tell you why, as a criminal profiler, I adore both of these shows. Now, mind you, it's I like watching them just because I like making my dinner. And since I live alone, you have to have something to do while you're eating dinner. So I like to watch food shows. While I'm eating my food, I watch these food. But I have been incredibly amazed, absolutely amazed at how they analyze the evidence. As a profiler, it's not just about, oh, that's a neat dish, or somebody created that, or oh, that's a person who won. Look at their backstory. These most shows put on backstories these days. Instead of just having three people stand up there, or four people. In this case, it's four people. In this case, it's two people. So in case you don't know the shows, Chop basically brings in four chefs or four people who cook, mostly chefs, but occasionally they do moms who cook or firefighters who cook, but mostly top chefs. Four of them come in and they give them these baskets with really weird stuff in them. And they open it up and they have to be able to cook something with these things. You go, what the heck is this crap? And you have to figure out how to put these ingredients together and make something great. And it's tough. It's very difficult. And they have three different parts of it. They got 20 minutes for the appetizer, then 30 minutes for their main course, and 30 minutes for dessert. Bobby Flay is a little different. They bring in two chefs, and those chefs compete against each other. And they have to cook an item of his choice, and he might pulls it out from behind his back and he goes, I want you to use an eggplant. And they have 20 minutes to make great dinner, a great something with eggplant, making that the star of their dish. And then two people who are there say, I think this person can beat Bobby Flay. That other person didn't do as good. This person can beat Bobby Flay. And then those three people, and then that person and Bobby Flay go up against each other. And that person who is the one who won the first round gets to choose his best dish and say, my best dish is this. And so he gets to pick something he knows he can cook well and see if Bobby Flay can do better. And then they both cook, and then they have three judges who don't know whose dishes are what, who analyze it. In this case, there are three judges who judge each one of the rounds, and they do know who they're judging. So here we have some anonymous people at the end. Here we have not anonymous people, but they don't know which dish they're judging. In this case, it's a little bit trickier that they actually do know whose dish it is. So they could be influenced by the person who has put that dish out. And so they do these backstories a lot of times, especially on Chopped. One person will come up and say, oh, so how I'm a chef at such and such a place, and I'm suffering with cancer. Next one comes up and says, I was in prison, and then I came out and I worked hard in every kitchen I could, and I saved my life. Kitchens have saved my life, and now I'm that, whatever. Or I came from this country and I was a refugee from this country, and now I'm in America. There's always some kind of dramatic backstory to a lot of these people that can influence the judges and the food. It's like they cook this food, but do I want to take this person who's suffering from cancer? Do I want to chop them? And sorry, you're suffering from cancer, but you're out. That's a tricky thing to do. So I'm looking at these two shows. I'm like, will they stick with the evidence, or will they be influenced by something else? And I am amazed to say I have not seen that anything influences them except exactly what is on that plate. And I'm shocked. It's just amazing. And Chopped, they're tasting it, and they're very critical about what they're tasting. And I often can tell, even from just being a viewer, when I watch how they cook, I'm like, that guy's going down. This guy looks like really cooking a good dish. And I'm usually pretty correct because they're focused on how well the dish was made and presented and how it tastes. And they don't seem to care what the backstory is. And there was one time that really proved this point for me. There was a guy, he didn't have a great backstory, but the guy was a jerk. I mean, a jerk. You could see all the judges couldn't stand that person. They were like pissed off at him the whole time. They kept yelling at him. They're like, okay, your dish is really good, but and the guys go, I know, your attitude sucks, man. They were so annoyed with this guy. He won. And you could see they were so annoyed that they had to pick him because his food was incredible. But they couldn't stand the guy. But they picked him anyway because they focused on the evidence and not something else that would influence their subjective feelings toward the chef or their story or whatever. And I have been constantly surprised at how they focus on the evidence. In Bobby Flay, it's very interesting there. The first two rounds, the first round, there's two people who analyze the two dishes, and they know who cooked those two dishes. But the reason that they're not paying attention to who the people are is because they're trying to pick the person who can beat Bobby Flay. That's the whole point, beating Bobby Flay. They want to pick the person who has most capability of doing so, regardless of whether they like the person. They pick the person they think can win. And then once that person comes out and picks their best dish to go against Bobby Flay, they bring in three judges who do not know whose dish is which one. They put the dish in front of them and they eat dish number one, they eat dish number two, and they pick who wins. Now, Bobby Flay wins, I don't know how, I would say 3/4 of the time, if not 4/5 of the time, he's that good, which is why people want to try to beat him, because they know if they actually beat Bobby Flay, it's incredible. And, I love this because they're not getting a participation award. If they actually beat Bobby Flay, the end of the show is, I beat Bobby Flay. And they know that nobody gave them a break. They beat him fair and square. And that's a great feeling. I wish we do that for children these days. Instead of just giving them participation awards, I wish we would say, you won that soccer game because you played well. Or you lost that soccer game because you sucked. We're not giving you an award for that. We're going to let you work hard until you had that feeling that you won. The evidence is there. There's no question. My son, I play table tennis. When my kids were growing up, I played table tennis with them. And I never let them win. Now, I might do a thing where I say, okay, I'm going to give you so many points. And then you can see, handicap thing, see if you can get those few points to win. But you're still going to know that if it was a real game, we started 0-0, you'd probably lose. Well, one day, my son won. And I never forgot it because he ran out the front door, started running around the job going, I beat mom. Just like people say, I beat Bobby Flay. And if you win Chopped, believe me, you win Chopped. So as a profiler, this is not about crime, but I think it's a crime to not focus on the evidence and not analyze evidence, and to have all these other things come in, your cultural feelings, your emotional feelings, whatever. And you let it affect. When you're analyzing crime, you can't let that affect stuff. You have to be dead logical, get your subjectiveness out of there. You don't have to like the victim or dislike the victim. You don't have to like the killer or dislike the killer as far as who they are. You just have to look at the evidence. And these two shows show you how to do that. So if you want to learn how to actually analyze evidence and not be subjective, watch Chopped and beat Bobby Flay. I know that was a surprise for you, but it was just fun to do. Anyway, thank you for being here. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. And yes, I have crime stuff the rest of the time, but I just thought this was a great example of focus on the evidence and not on anything else. Thanks for being here. Bye.